Welcome everybody back to another episode of the Premier League. We're going to do our prediction video for the week, and of course I have my friend Matt. Matt, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing just dandy. I'm ready to get more right than you this week, so yeah.
Oh, he's such a kidder, folks. He's such a kidder. Yeah, no, he's not. I don't have the stats for the standings, but the standings will be posted on the screen right now. There you go.
I can tell you the stats. I'm in the lead still, as I've been all year.
Yeah, okay. Anyways, yeah, he probably is anyways, but anyways, we got a great amount of games this week, and Matt and I were talking about when we were doing our predictions that, or leading up to the predictions, that it's like, this week is going to be one of those weeks that it's going to be hard to almost guess every game and get him right. You know, sometimes you'll get like a crazy one. It's like, oh yeah, that one's gonna be a win for sure. But most, if not all, these games are gonna be that. So, good on the matchmakers this week. It's gonna be a really good week. So let's start with the first game this week: Leicester versus Man City. We have Leicester City at home. The win probability for this week is that Man City is going to win. 76% of the people think that Man City should win this game. To 9%. We have Man City coming off a big win, 3-1 over Brighton, and they are in second place, currently only 2 points back now. And you have Leicester City, who just last week got a big win for nothing and made it finally out of the bottom league. Matt, what do you have?
I have a Man City win, surprisingly.
Oh, wow.
Who would have thought?
Wow.
They win a lot, and they had a surprisingly not up to their standards performance last week, which, if you know what that means, it usually means that they and midweek they drew 0-0 with Dortmund. So generally that's going to mean Pep is going to whip them into a frenzy. And they're going to go out and absolutely destroy whoever they play next.
Okay.
I think it's going to be 4-0 City.
4-0,
I think Leicester at home is going to have a boost. They're going to stand tight for 20-30 minutes. But once the goals start going, they're going to keep going. It's going to be 4.
Okay. I saw the Dortmund game. Not all of it, because of course I can't watch those games, but the highlights of it. One thing I don't think you realized, Erland is out for this game. He is injured.
Oh, is he?
That is why it was a draw. It was a big game too, because if that
he used to play for them too.
Yeah, if that game there, if it was a draw, that still means that both teams now can't win the Champions League and move on to the top 16. The third place team could get it if they won, which I didn't see yet. But anyways, this is my big upset of the week. It is Leicester City drawing to Man City. It's gonna be a late one. Mason Mount is gonna tie the game, and it's gonna
Mason Mount.
Yep.
He doesn't play for Leicester.
I'm sorry, but Madison. I'm sorry.
James Madison, yeah.
Madison. Okay,
the other English midfielder with an M name.
Sorry. I must have been thinking Chelsea at the time. I think the other blue team. Anyways, yeah, he's gonna come in. He's gonna do it, and because they don't have Erland, they're gonna revert back exactly like they were last season, where they can't score a gosh darn goal.
When they won the league,
but they couldn't score. They did a false 9, and the reason why they won the league was because of their defense, and they would score. But they're not going to have Erland. Erland's still beat up a little bit, and they're not going to. Of course, they're not going to put him in for this game. It's Leicester City. Of course, we're going to beat them, type of thing. They're not going to realize that Leicester City's going to go ahead and hopefully come in. So I have it as a draw. I have a 2-2 draw. Write that down, folks. 2-2 draw, and that's going to be huge for Arsenal and for Newcastle coming up too. Because if Newcastle wins, that gets them a little bit closer. Plus Tottenham too. Tottenham will be only 1 point back, but of course, Man City has a game in hand, but still. Anyways, that's the way I have it. So, yeah. On to the next game, we have Newcastle versus Aston Villa. It's in Newcastle, and we have 52% of the people thinking Newcastle are going to win this game, and 23% think it's going to be Aston Villa. might have the same mindset as you had this week. You have Newcastle coming off a big win against Tottenham in the rain at night, 2-1. And Aston Villa coming off a big win also this week, 4-0. So we have two teams coming off two big wins, 4th place Newcastle and 15th place Aston Villa. Matt, what do you think?
So, Aston Villa have not won back-to-back games in the Premier League since May. And I don't think they're going to win back-to-back again this week. I think it's going to be a Newcastle win. Like you've said before, it's hard to go to St. James and win or even draw. I think it's going to be 3-1 Newcastle. Their form is great right now, and I think they're going to carry it forward. Going to get a lot of support from the home fans, and they're gonna get quite a bit of goals.
Yeah, Newcastle is one of the best defensive teams. They are actually the best defensive team in the league, and they've already scored 20 goals this season. If you do both, you're gonna do a great job. Aston Villa come off a huge game this year, but I think you're going to Newcastle. You're going to Newcastle when it's cold. I've talked with my family that live in near Newcastle, and they've already stated it's getting cold there, and you don't want to go to Newcastle. That's like going. You are coming off like the Arctic Sea, basically. It's not exactly there, but you're coming off a very cold sea, and that wind comes right off. Could be debilitating a little bit. So Newcastle will be coming off of that. I think. I didn't see. What did you have as your score, Matt?
3-1 for Newcastle.
3-1 Newcastle. Okay. So I also have it as 3-1. And my big pick, my big tiebreaker, big pick of the week is going to be. And I want 3 points. You know what? I want 3 points for this. I think I should deserve this. Almiron gets a goal, but here's the catch. Almiron gets a goal, but it has to be considered on the NBC website as one of the top 5 goals of the week. So he has to not only get a goal, but it has to be a brilliant goal. So it has to be top 5 goals.
Let's just say a brilliant goal, not necessarily just by NBC's metrics.
Okay, all right. I'll say a brilliant goal. So, it's got to be like he has, where it's a one-toucher over the head and some crap like that. Some
like
people.
Thumper from outside the box.
Yeah. Because if I say Almiron gets a goal, now if I was, beginning of this year, Almiron gets a goal, you'd be like, yeah, 3 points, sure. Especially when the guy has 1 goal all like last year. But I'll say Almiron, great goal.
I'll say something then for the tiebreaker then.
Yep.
I will say that Aston Villa is going to score between 25 and 35 minutes this game instead of Newcastle.
Brilliant. Okay. I will give you 5 points if you can get it, if it's in the 30th minute exactly. I'll give you 5 points if it's 30th.
How about 3 points if it's in that 10 minutes and Newcastle doesn't score in that 10 minutes?
I'll give you 3 on that one too. But they can't. But Newcastle cannot score in that time frame too. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. 25 to 35 minute range. Okay, that's fine. All right. Okay, I'll live with that. I can live with that one. All right, on to the next game. Bournemouth versus Tottenham. Try to do it like a special way of doing it. You have Tottenham 57% winning. Wait, really? 57% Tottenham winning. 19% Bournemouth's going to win it. You have Tottenham coming off a huge loss against Newcastle this week. They actually pushed them a little bit further away from Man City than what they wanted to do, because they had a chance to actually move up and actually tie them. They would have been different in goal difference. And Bournemouth coming off a pretty big loss, actually, honestly. Should have getting in that game and at least making a fight. They didn't. But Tottenham coming from 14th. Tottenham coming from 3rd. Bournemouth coming from 14th. Matt, what do we think?
Right, so I can imagine some people are hesitant to call a Tottenham victory, mostly because it's an away game.
Okay.
Tottenham aren't in the best form. They just had a draw in the Champions League, and yeah, maybe they're just like they're missing something. But I think Tottenham are gonna win. I think it's gonna be 2-0.
You son of a gun! You son of a gun! You were getting me all excited. I'm like, oh man, he's gonna go something. All right, 2-0. Okay.
2-0 Tottenham. I don't think Bournemouth is gonna have a goal. Yeah.
I agree. Tottenham is too dominant. They want to come back. They want to come back strong, showing their dominance in this league. And I think instead of one of these games, it's going to be like, oh, we'll put our backups because we got the Champions League. I think they're going to put full squad out, make sure they get a win because they now have to keep up with Man City. Plus, if they lose this game and Newcastle wins, Newcastle's third. Just to let you know, and they have the same match day, matches played.
You're right.
So and Newcastle has the goal difference. So even if Tottenham draw this game, if they draw and Newcastle wins, Newcastle gets third. It's insane. Love this year. Anyways, I have my game as Tottenham is going to win though against Bournemouth. It's going to be a 4-0 win though. They're going to dominate. Yeah, they're putting a full squad out there. I don't think there's going to be a problem with that one. So,
okay.
4-0. End of story. Sorry, Bournemouth. It's cold this time of year. You don't do well in the cold. You do well at home, but not in the cold.
It's getting cold. It's not winter yet.
It's cold.
It's
the end of the year. It's cold. On to the next game. We got Brighton. Big game this week. Brighton versus Chelsea. So we have Brighton versus Chelsea. We have Chelsea 38% and Brighton 33%. Very close to win probability that people think the game's going to be. Chelsea coming off of a mediocre game this week with a draw against Man U. Heartbreaker. Really is kind of a heartbreaker because Man U, but at the same time that penalty shouldn't have happened anyways. So it should have been a draw anyways, but it should have been 0-0. Brighton come off of a loss, but they played great against Man City. So we'll have to see. I like the probability stats on that. But Matt, what do you got?
So Chelsea did have a midweek game this week.
Yep.
They played in the Champions League,
Yep.
and they put together a pretty solid performance. They beat Salzburg 2-1. Looks like they're kind of finding a rhythm.
Yeah.
So I think they'll be coming in with some strength. But I think being at Brighton's going to be coming up for this game. They're going to be playing well like they did against City. It's going to be at home against their old manager.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to keep it tight and draw 2-2. That's my prediction.
Okay. Yeah. Potter coming back. That's huge for him. Hopefully he gets a standing ovation for what he's done for Brighton. You could clearly see since he's left, Brighton has kind of slipped. They did face some big teams, but they've kind of slipped a little bit on the season. And I think so. I think the fans you guys should cheer him on. If you guys are from there, definitely cheer him on. Let him know that you guys appreciate what he's done to keep your team up. Because remember, you guys were in the lower league, so thank him for that. But I also have it as a 2-2 draw. I have exactly that. I know. And so I will say one of the goals, all right, is going to be Pulisic. I'm just throwing it out there. I love this. It's going to be a Pulisic goal. Don't know which one it's going to be, but it's going to be a Pulisic goal. And I think that should be definitely worth at least 1 point because
I'd say 1 point.
Yeah, because he's going to come off the bench as he does.
Yep.
But he will get a goal. He's gotten a goal this year coming off the bench, and played well. He usually plays well against the teams that he thinks he could at least score on. He gets nervous sometimes against the big teams, but I think
he doesn't have a lot of goals this season, but he could
play a lot. Yeah. What do you think? What is your prediction?
So I'll probably try and go with something a little bit more niche. I think one of the goals by Brighton is going to be an own goal.
Oh, wow. You know what? I will give you 5 on that one. That is a hard thing to do. I will say an own goal, and I'll give you 5 on that one. That is a hard one. Yeah.
And that just to clarify, that means like Chelsea will score on their own net for Brighton to get a goal.
Oh, that way? Okay. All right.
Yes.
All right.
Like one of the goals that Brighton one of their 2 is going to be because Chelsea has an own goal.
Okay. I'll still give you 5 on that one. I don't care. But okay. All right. Gotcha. All right. Next game: Crystal Palace versus Southampton. Crystal Palace 49%, which I was really shocked to see on this after what happened last week. But Southampton 24%. We have Crystal Palace coming off of a terrible loss. They should have won last week. And Southampton actually coming off a huge draw against Arsenal. It will be, though, in Crystal Palace this time. It's not going to be in St. Mary's. And we will hopefully see a pretty good game, which I still do believe that. We have Crystal Palace 13th, Southampton 16th. Matt, what do you say?
All right, so I'm with the majority prediction here. Because it's at Selhurst Park, because Crystal Palace are so starved for wins, I think they're going to come out on top of this one. It's going to be a hard-fought game.
Okay.
There's going to be a lot of goals, but I think they're going to win by a score of 3-2. Southampton will score. I'll even say Southampton scores first, but Crystal Palace will take the game. It'll be good.
Okay. I think Crystal Palace is going to come off that last win, and they're gonna show their dominance. I think they're kind of mad at what they did. They're going to be in front of their fans. I agree that there will be 3 goals by Crystal Palace, but I think Southampton's only going to score 1. I don't think they're going to dominate at all. Even if they do, the weather won't be too much of a factor with the downpour and rain, so they're not going to have a big factor on that. And I think Crystal Palace will achieve what Arsenal couldn't do last week, which is score when they get the chances. So it will be 3, but I have it as 3-1. You have it as 3-2. So, all right, very good. Next game we have Brentford versus Wolves. Brentford 44% win. People think they're going to win to the 29% that Wolves are going to win it. Brentford coming off a loss that they shouldn't have. It was 4-0. Big loss. Huge loss. And Wolves coming off again another loss. And they are in 19th. Wolves are in 19th. Brentford's 11th. A win here for Brentford could move them up into the top half. Or a loss here could definitely move them all the way down somehow to near 17th, 16th. So this is a big game for Brentford. Wolves can get a win and actually pop themselves out of the bottom half. Matt, what do you think?
So, I think Wolves are a bad team this season. I think they may even go down. They're not at home this week. They're playing against a team that just got embarrassed, that is very strong at home. Wolves have struggled to score goals this season too. I think they'll manage one this game, but I think they're going to lose 2-1. I think Brentford's gonna show up for the home fans. Wolves have not won an away league game in the last 10. So I think the streak is going to continue. They're going to lose.
Yeah. I think this is a big game. Brentford at home, you gotta give them the win. You gotta give them at least a point. Brentford is so good at home. Wolves, again, are not gonna score. They just don't score ever. They are the worst scoring team in the entire league right now, which is surprising because we all thought it was going to be West Ham. But they have 5 goals on the entire year out of 12 games. And I think, again, 0 goals for Wolves. So I have it as a Brentford 3-0 win on that one. And I think actually I'm going to be, that prediction with 0, I'm going to be right again. I really don't see that happening. Plus, especially when it's Brentford at home. So next game we have Fulham versus Everton. I love that. We have Fulham 41% winning, which is not surprising, and Everton at 31%. Fulham coming off a huge win last week against Leeds. They had to get the win, 3-2, should have been 3-1. Good dominating game for Fulham. Everton, big win, surprising win against Crystal Palace. Played very well. We have Everton here in 12th place, and we have Fulham in 18th with a win here, potentially, depending on how other scores work. 5th place, they could. Now, it has to be a big thing, but 5th place for Fulham if things arise on that. And for Everton, this is a big game because it could move them up or it could push them down a little bit. Matt, what do you think?
I think this game is the opposite of the last game,
okay,
where both teams are coming off a bad game and trying to rebound. And this one, both teams are coming off a pretty good game and trying to sustain that. Fulham are in 7th, which is, I think, way higher than most people would have expected at this point of the year.
Completely.
Or at any point of the year. They've put up some really strong performances. They're going to be at home this game too, Craven Cottage. But Everton don't lose, really. Like, they have found ways to not lose, even if they don't win, to not lose a lot of games this season. So I'm going to predict a 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw, okay. Well, before last week, Everton was on a 3-game losing streak. Didn't play well. It wasn't like those games were close games either. They had gone on a streak of like 7 or 8 games straight where they did not lose a game. Yeah. And then they got 3 straight losses, and then they did come back. The biggest problem though is you got Fulham. Fulham is a really good scoring team, and the one big thing is Fulham scores, but they let goals in. Everton, when they score, they allow about the same amount. So you have two teams that are that have that weird thing where they don't allow a lot, or they either allow a lot of goals in and they score a lot, and vice versa. So this is the problem with that. Is Everton doesn't do a lot of scoring and don't score a lot. So I think it's going to be a Fulham win, but it's going to be 2-1. It's going to be a 2-1.
Okay.
Fulham win on that one.
Just for the record, though, Everton's last 3 losses were Man United, Tottenham, and Newcastle. So like, some pretty strong opponents, I would say. Yeah. They haven't lost to a team in the bottom half, I don't think, at all. Now, Fulham aren't in the bottom half. Right. But are they really in the top half, which is, I think, we're going to find out, right?
Yeah, I think I do agree. I think this is going to be the game that tells Fulham. I think Fulham is the Bournemouth of 2 years ago, or 3 years ago or something like that, where they had a surprising team where they finished in the league in like 8th place, I think it was 8th or 9th, or somewhere in that range. Top half for sure. And of course, the very next season they went down. But Eddie Howe had them looking really good, and they had just come up. And I think Fulham's that same way. Is they came up and they're like, we're gonna punch you in the mouth. They'll stay up here. They'll stay up here for the first half, and then they'll kind of decrease. But yeah, I agree with you completely. But I do believe it's also it's going to be a definite win. On to the next game: Liverpool versus Leeds. Yeah, the game is in Anfield, of course it is. They never walk alone. 73% think Liverpool is going to win this game to 12% on Leeds. Liverpool coming off a big loss against a very, very bottom-dwelling team in Nottingham Forest. And Leeds, I will say it's a big loss only because of the scoreline, and it pushed them actually down into the bottom 3. Liverpool needs this win. They're in 8th, and Leeds, though, they need this win too. They're in 18th. Matt, what do you think?
Oh, I think Liverpool are going to be feeling good after they beat Ajax this midweek, 3-0. That was an away game. They're coming back to Anfield, where they have had some shocking results this season, I will say. The 3-3 draw with Brighton was at home.
Yep, both good and bad. They beat Man City there. Yep. So you have good and bad there.
The 9-0 Bournemouth was there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be not as easy, let's say, as it used to be. But I think they're going to come away with a win. Leeds are really struggling. If you remember last year, Leeds was flirting with relegation for a lot of the year.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be doing that a lot this year too.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be 4-1 Liverpool.
Okay.
They're going to get one, but it's not going to matter.
Yeah.
It'll be like 3-0 already, and they'll get one back, and then they'll like let in another one.
Right. I think Team America is slipping a little bit. Something's going wrong there. I think the motivation, the honeymoon stages is wearing off a little bit. 4-game losing streak, huge. You're starting to show how hard it is to win in the Premier League. And I think the coach, being an American and wanting to prove himself so much, because American coaches don't come to the Premier League and win ever. And so he wants to show, hey, I want to win. I want to show I can win. So he's gonna all out do everything possible to get the win. Liverpool's coming off of a big win, like you said, but I almost think that Jurgen is thinking on to next week. And so he might not play his starters. And if he doesn't play all the starters like he did against Nottingham Forest, he's gonna trip. Not trip as bad as you think, but he will trip. I think this game's only going to be a 1-0 win. And I think it's going to be their new signing's going to take a shot, get it in the net. I don't think it's going to be like Salah. I just think it's going to be one of those things. But I will think it'll be a Liverpool win. It'll be 1-0.
It is a good point to make that Liverpool play Napoli on Tuesday, and that's a huge game for their Champions League group stage. So they're going to be
looking ahead. Yep, definitely looking ahead. On to the next game. Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest. Arsenal 81% win. Maybe not too much of a surprise, but all right. Arsenal 81%. Forest 6% win. Arsenal coming off a huge draw, big draw. We did talk in the reaction video on why they lost. Watch the video right there. Thank you. And Nottingham Forest coming off a huge win against Liverpool. So that's a huge, big thing. Arsenal needs this win. Arsenal has to have a win to stay up top. Nottingham, though, needs this win too to get themselves out of the bottom three. Matt, what do you think?
Right. So I know Nottingham Forest is going to be feeling good after beating Liverpool. They're going to be feeling good. But that was a home game. This is at Arsenal Stadium at the Emirates. Arsenal are going to do the thing because Arteta is like a Pep disciple, right?
Yep.
Whenever Pep's teams have a bad result, they go out there and absolutely just brutalize the next team that they play. I think that's going to happen again. I think it's 5-0 Arsenal. I think they're going to just be firing on all cylinders. They're going to just smoke them.
Okay, you got it as 5-0. All right. I agree with you. It's going to be as an away game. Arsenal's going to be at home. That's you don't do that. You don't do. Plus, I think Arsenal coming into that, they already are going to be weary of what just happened against Liverpool, and they will not want that to happen again. Plus, they need a win now because of the results last week. They're going to go all out. I don't think it's going to be 5-0. I think it's going to be 3-0. Okay. I think 5-0 is a little bit higher. I think Nottingham Forest is going to play the exact same way as they played against Liverpool, which they'll drop 5 to the back, 4. They're going to do a 5-4-1 again, and but the way the defense is set up, I don't think they'll be able to dominate as much, and they're not going to get a lot of shots, and definitely will not get any goals on there. Ramsdale is way too good of a goalie to get by. But yeah, I think 3-0. Definitely 3-0 win to Arsenal. And on to the last game of the week we got here. We got Man United versus West Ham. Sunday game. One of the rare Sunday games. And for that, Man United is going to has a win probability of 57%, and West Ham's only at 20. You have Man U coming off a draw, lucky draw at that, but a draw still at that, against Chelsea, and you have West Ham coming off of a pretty big win. It was a very convincing win, as they would say. West Ham with a win here could move themselves. West Ham here could move themselves all the way up to potentially 8th place if the stars align. And Man United could move themselves all the way up into 3rd if the stars align here. Big stars on it. More probability as high as 4th, but we can see on either way. Matt, what do you think?
Right, so as little as I like to say it, I think United have kind of figured things out this season. I think they're playing together as a team, and they're playing well. And they're at home. Old Trafford is a place that they usually play pretty well at. Fun statistic here. West Ham have lost more away Premier League matches against Manchester United than they have against any other side. When they go to Old Trafford, they lose. So I'm thinking they'll put up a good fight. It'll be 2-1 Man United, but Man United will win.
Okay. So this is one of the rare weeks where I don't do this a lot, but I'm going to give this game as a draw. It's going to be Man U 2, West Ham 2. West Ham coming off a big win last week, and they're finally it's almost like they're getting to form finally. Like they're finally going, oh hey, oh wait, we're in the Premier League. The games have already started. Oh okay, so we'll start playing again, and they're starting to score goals. But Man U is going to, in this game, it's going to be weird. Man U is going to play mediocre, but they're going to score, and it's going to be their new guy who looks really, really good. Going to come in.
Anthony?
Yes. And he's going to score one brilliant goal as he always does. And then West Ham's going to score a goal. And I'll actually say something that's going to be, I know it's weird to say this, but I think it's smart almost at the same time. Declan Rice is going to get the second goal. He needs it. And he's going to do it in front of the away crowd. It'll shut them up. And but I think it's going to be the tying goal. I don't think it's going to be the leading goal. And I think I don't want to say, I think Rashford really wants to score a goal. So I'll say it's Rashford, but my heart says it's going to be Bruno's going to get it. It's going to get some popper. It's going to be
a penalty or something too.
Yeah, something stupid. No, because they won't allow Bruno to take the penalty. He sucks.
No, he just earns the penalty.
Yeah, he quote unquote earns the penalty. Yeah, that's definitely gonna happen. But yeah, that's why I think it's gonna be a 2-2 draw. But all right, thanks Matt. We are gonna move on to the end of the prediction video. Thank you guys so very much. If you like what you hear, please hit that subscribe button. We're gonna do more videos, and we'll see you guys on to the next week.